You've been told that jihad is fought with sword and shout. But what if the truest battlefield lies in your wallet? Every purchase you make is a vote for a world you either endorse or reject. From boycotting exploitative brands to hosting communal banquets that celebrate ethical craftsmanship, halal economics can become the stealth revolution that transforms the ummah. I'm Fakir Al-Kamosh. In this series, we'll trace the moral power of boycott and the liberating promise of halal production, arguing that economic independence isn't merely an Islamic ideal, but a strategic weapon in the fight for justice. Ready to discover how your next meal can change the world? Marketplace as mosque. Early Muslims understood trade as a sacred trust. The Prophet, peace be upon him, warned against deceitful measures and encouraged fair prices. Commerce wasn't secular. It was an act of worship, ibadah, when conducted with ihsan, excellence, and amana, trust. Boycott in the Prophet's era. The boycott of the Banu Hashim and Banu al-Muttalib in Mecca, 3 AH, showed both the potency and peril of economic pressure. When Quraysh traders refused to buy goods from Muhammad's clan, the isolation nearly starved them, but also demonstrated that collective refusal can bend oppressors to mercy. Principled purchasing. Today, modern boycotts target companies complicit in labor exploitation, environmental destruction, or geopolitical aggression. A million voices refusing non-halal products send a message stronger than any slogan. Yet, without strategy, boycotts fizzle out, revealing the need for organized, sustained campaigns. Halal beyond meat. Halal certification has expanded into cosmetics, finance, and tourism. These markets offer a blueprint for ethical supply chains, animal welfare, humane labor, fair trade. When Muslims demand halal everything, they reshape entire industries, forcing them to meet higher moral standards or lose our patronage. Boycotts are not spontaneous moral outbursts. They are calculated strikes against injustice. Like precision-guided missiles, they aim at profit centers, not people. But without discipline, they become fleeting hashtags. Let's dissect the anatomy of a successful halal boycott, where it succeeds, where it fails, and how it can reshape global markets. Identifying the target moral mapping. Before action, map the supply chain. Who profits from injustice? Factory owners exploiting workers, corporations funding conflict, brands using unethical ingredients? A halal boycott begins with intelligence, detailed dossiers, transparent reporting, and clear criteria. Case study: fast fashion. Major brands rely on exploitative labor in South Asia. A coordinated boycott, backed by documented reports and alternatives, fair trade labels, forced some to improve conditions. Yet many rebrand to dodge scrutiny, underscoring the need for sustained vigilance. Building coalitions, inter-ummah alliances. Effective boycotts unite mosques, student unions, professional associations, and ethical consumers. Shared messaging, framed around Islamic ethics, resonates beyond our circles, drawing in secular human rights groups and environmentalists. When diverse voices converge, pressure multiplies. Digital mobilization, hashtags, hashtag halal not harmful, hashtag ethical wallet, unify campaigns. But true momentum comes from coordinated days of action, email blitzes, petition hand-ins, community town halls. Online petitions must be matched by offline presence, handing letters to executives, staging peaceful demonstrations outside flagship stores. Legal and economic levers, regulatory engagement, file complaints with consumer protection agencies and halal certification bodies, use class action frameworks to challenge false halal claims. Legal pressure, threat of fines and loss of certification, can leverage change faster than reputational appeals alone. Investor relations. Engage shareholders through Islamic finance channels. Muslim pension funds and Waqf endowments can divest from unethical enterprises, triggering stock price concerns. When institutional investors withdraw, companies pay attention. Measuring success and avoiding backfire, metrics of change, track stock performance, supplier audits, certification renewals, and employee conditions. Celebrate small victories, improved labor standards, ingredient transparency, as proof that boycotts work. Pitfalls: spontaneous, unverified boycotts risk misinformation and consumer fatigue. Hasty calls can harm small businesses or inadvertently penalize local halal producers. Discipline demands confirmed data, targeted scale, and regular reassessment. Philosophical stakes. A boycott is ethical warfare, waged without bullets, grounded in moral clarity. It tests our commitment to tawhid, affirming that every aspect of life, including commerce, falls under divine scrutiny. When we refuse to profit from harm, we reclaim our agency and remind the market that conscience cannot be outsourced. In a world of disposable meals and fleeting trends, hosting a halal banquet can be a revolutionary act. Beyond feeding bodies, these communal feasts nourish justice, uplift local artisans, and turn tables into platforms for dialogue. Let's explore how to craft banquets that celebrate Muslim craftsmanship, foster interfaith camaraderie, and strengthen economic independence. Setting the ethical table. Local sourcing. Prioritize small-scale farmers, ethical butchers, and artisanal bakers who adhere to halal standards. By buying locally, you reduce carbon footprints, support community livelihoods, and ensure traceability, ensuring every ingredient reflects your values. Menu as message. A carefully curated menu, seasonal vegetables, heritage grains, fair trade coffee, tells a story. Each dish becomes an invitation to discuss the ethics behind our food, transforming a meal into a mobile classroom on justice and stewardship. Economic empowerment through celebration. Vendor showcases invite halal-certified startups, jewelry makers, textile weavers, graphic designers to exhibit their crafts alongside the feast. Attendees not only taste halal fare, but encounter Muslim entrepreneurship firsthand, creating markets for goods that embody ethical production. Revenue sharing. Structure ticket pricing so a portion funds micro-grants for women-led cooperatives or vocational training in underprivileged communities. A feast thus circulates wealth back into the ummah, turning consumption into investment. Interfaith invitations, building bridges, open invitations to neighbors of all backgrounds. Host a Taste of the Ummah evening where Muslim chefs explain the significance of dishes and guests share their own culinary traditions in return. These exchanges humanize the other and foster respect through shared plates. Facilitated dialogue. Between courses, brief conversations hosted by moderators can unpack topics. What does halal mean beyond food? How do our faiths define ethical living? Structured but informal, these moments embed deeper learning into conviviality. Logistics of impact. Carbon-neutral gatherings. Partner with eco-friendly caterers and compost food waste. Provide reusable or biodegradable dinnerware. Publicize these steps to demonstrate that halal responsibility extends to the planet. Accessibility and inclusion. Offer sliding-scale tickets and free family passes. Provide gender-inclusive seating or family tents. Ensure translations and explanations for non-Muslim participants. A true banquet lifts all, not just the privileged. Sustaining the feast movement. Rotating hosts. Rotate banquet leadership among different mosques, community groups, and youth councils. Each host brings unique themes: Ramadan traditions, Islamic Golden Age recipes, contemporary fusion, keeping the movement fresh and inclusive. Digital cookbook and forum, document recipes, vendor contacts, and post-event reflections in an online portal. Participants contribute stories and photos, turning one feast into many and creating a living archive of ethical culinary activism. Money without conscience is the deadliest toxin. In Islam, finance must heal, never harm. Beyond boycotts and banquets, we need systems that funnel capital ethically, without riba, interest, or exploitation. Today, we map the terrain of halal finance, from grassroots microcredit to global Islamic banks, showing how economic independence thrives when profit and piety align. Principles of halal finance. Prohibition of riba. The Quran denounces interest as usury, Q2275, warning that it enslaves rather than uplifts. Halal finance replaces fixed interest with profit and loss sharing, ensuring both lender and borrower share risk and reward. Asset backing and transparency. Every transaction must link to a tangible asset or service. No speculative paper profits. This grounding in real economy promotes stability and deters destructive bubbles. Microfinance and cooperatives community, Waqf funds. Inspired by prophetic endowments, local mosques seed microcredit pools for small entrepreneurs, especially women. Loans under Murabaha, Cost Plus, or Mudaraba, profit-sharing contracts fund tailoring tutoring and tech startups. Recirculated repayments sustain and expand the fund. Case study: Bangladesh's pioneers, Amana Ikhtiar. Bangladesh has uplifted millions through interest-free group lending. Peer accountability replaces collateral. Women-led JLGs, joint liability groups, report near-zero default rates. Their success underscores that trust can outperform bricks-and-mortar security. Takaful and ethical insurance, mutual protection. Traditional insurance pools premiums, but invests in dubious ventures. Takaful restructures this as cooperation. Participants contribute to a common fund to indemnify losses. Surpluses return to members or fund charitable projects. Building safety nets. Muslim communities facing medical emergencies or disaster losses find in Takaful a mechanism that honors solidarity without profiting from another's misfortune. Institutional Islamic banking rise of giants. Institutions like Dubai Islamic Bank, Al Rajhi Bank, and Malaysia's Maybank Islamic have demonstrated that Sharia-compliant banking can scale. They offer checking accounts, mortgages via ijara leases, and investment products, serving millions globally. Competitive edge. By channeling funds into real economy projects, housing, infrastructure, agriculture, these banks foster sustainable development. Their risk-sharing ethos proved more resilient during the 2008 financial crisis than conventional banks trapped in toxic derivatives. Sukuk, halal bonds, asset-backed securities. Sukuk represent ownership in a tangible asset or project, roads, schools, factories, earning returns from real income streams. Unlike conventional bonds, they comply with the ban on debt for debt's sake. Global infrastructure. Governments and corporates issue sukuk to finance power plants, airports, and social housing. In doing so, they tap deep Islamic capital pools while ensuring each investment links to societal benefit. Challenges and integrity. Avoiding Sharia-washing. Some institutions stamp Islamic on conventional products. True halal finance demands rigorous Sharia boards, transparent audits, and community oversight to prevent profit-driven compromise. Inclusivity versus Elitism. Large banks often serve the wealthy. Ensuring access for small businesses and low-income families requires dedicated microfinance wings, subsidized advisory services, and mobile banking innovations. Philosophical stakes. Halal finance is more than a niche. It's a moral imperative. By aligning economic incentives with ethical teachings, we reclaim money as a tool for justice. Profit becomes reward for service, not exploitation. Wealth circulates, not concentrates. Every transaction echoes the prophetic vision of shared prosperity. True economic sovereignty doesn't stop at finance. It demands enterprises that embed mercy and justice into their business models. Social enterprises and ethical funds show that profits can be a force for good, not just accumulation. How do we build businesses that give more than they take, reinforcing community resilience, fostering intercommunal solidarity, and reflecting tawhid in every transaction? Defining social enterprise in an Islamic frame. Triple bottom line, beyond rib, profit, social enterprises measure risala, mission, and rahmah, mercy. Their success metrics include community well-being and environmental stewardship, not just revenue growth. Prophetic prototype. Early Muslim caravans carried charitable provisions alongside goods. The Prophet taught that trade and charity walk hand in hand. Modern social enterprises revive this model. A portion of every sale funds community services. Business models that give back. Buy one, give one. Restaurants and retail shops match every customer purchase with a free meal or essential item donated to those in need, mirroring sadaqah jariyah in retail. Profit-sharing cooperatives. Workers' co-ops distribute dividends based on hours worked, ensuring equitable wealth distribution. Inspired by Mudaraba, these structures incentivize collective stewardship over extractive hierarchies. Impact investment and halal ESG funds. Ethical screening, ESG, environmental, social, governance. Criteria adapted for halal markets exclude sectors like gambling and fossil fuels, favoring green energy, social housing, and micro-takaful providers. Case study. Green Sukuk Fund. A Malaysia-based sukuk fund channels capital into solar farms and flood-resilient infrastructure in flood-prone Muslim regions. Investors earn returns from project revenues while advancing climate justice. Scaling local successes, community-led incubators. Mosque basements and halal cafes host startup accelerators for young entrepreneurs with social missions, applying halal finance principles, mentoring and marketing ethics, and connecting with micro-grant funds. Diaspora investment networks, Gulf philanthropists and Western Muslim fintech platforms co-invest in startups across Africa and Southeast Asia, blending remittance channels with venture capital to spur job creation. Challenges of integrity mission. Drift. Balancing profitability and purpose can erode impact if social goals become secondary. Strong governance, boards with community representation and clear charters, prevents deviation. Transparency and accountability. Annual impact reports, third-party audits, and participatory feedback sessions ensure businesses remain true to their social mandate. When customers see real outcomes, trust deepens. Intercommunal partnerships, cross-faith ventures. Joint Muslim-Christian cooperatives operate ethical farms and artisan collectives, fostering mutual respect while creating shared prosperity. These ventures defy narratives of sectarian division through cooperative commerce. Public-private collaboration. City councils partner with halal social enterprises to deliver urban services, waste recycling, elder care, vocational training, framing economic independence as civic contribution. Philosophical foundation, social enterprise embodies ummah as a living system, interconnected stakeholders shaping destiny through shared responsibility. Profit thus becomes an instrument of mercy, not a goal in itself, a tangible enactment of Tawhid's call to justice and compassion. A halal label means nothing without trust. When certification bodies lack transparency or ethical councils are captive to moneyed interests, Sharia-washing thrives. To protect our economic sovereignty, we need robust mechanisms, independent halal certifiers, community ethics boards, and citizen watchdogs. Let's examine how true oversight guarantees that every transaction upholds justice and mercy. Independent halal certification, separation of powers. Effective halal certifiers operate like impartial jurists, financially and organizationally independent from the industries they audit. They publish clear criteria, ingredient lists, and audit results, allowing consumers to verify claims rather than trust opaque logos. Case study: Malaysia versus elsewhere. Malaysia's JKIM maintains rigorous public databases of certified products, while in some markets, private bodies issue multiple conflicting stamps. The result? Consumer confusion and loopholes for unscrupulous producers. Ethical councils and shura boards, community-led councils, local mosques or cooperatives form councils of scholars, ethicists, and lay members to review complex cases, new fintech products, novel food technologies, or large infrastructure deals. These boards operate by shura, consultation, ensuring diverse perspectives and preventing capture by single interests. Transparency mandate: public minutes, conflict of interest declarations, and open consultations build trust. When a council debates issuing a fatwa on Islamic bonds or approving a factory's export, the community sees the process and can hold members accountable. Citizen watchdog networks, digital reporting platforms, apps and websites allow consumers to flag questionable halal claims, upload photos of ingredients, or report non-compliant practices. When dozens of credible reports accumulate, certifiers must re-audit or risk losing public confidence. Grassroots enforcement. Neighborhood committees organize spot checks, visiting restaurants, small manufacturers, and stores. Their findings, compiled in community bulletins or online forums, guide purchasing decisions and apply pressure on errant vendors. Legal frameworks and government roles, regulatory backing. In jurisdictions where halal laws have legal force, labeling requirements, import controls, authorities can impose fines or revoke licenses. But overly politicized enforcement risks backlash. Balanced regulation empowers genuine certifiers while guarding against heavy-handed overreach. Judicial recourse. Consumer protection courts hear cases on false halal claims. When a factory is proven to add non-slaughtered gelatin, affected communities can seek compensation and injunctive relief, sending a message that halal is not a marketing gimmick, but a legally enforceable standard. International standards and mutual recognition. Harmonization efforts. Bodies like the OIC's Standardization Organization, ISESCO, and ISO's halal standards work to align global criteria, slaughter methods, supply chain traceability, and ethical conduct. Mutual recognition agreements reduce certification duplication and build cross-border confidence. Respecting local context. While harmonization aids trade, regional councils must adapt standards to local practices, indigenous animal breeds, artisanal methods, ensuring ethical integrity without cultural erasure. Philosophical imperative. Oversight mechanisms reflect Tawhid's demand for accountability. Every actor, producer, certifier, consumer answers to a higher standard. When markets self-police with sincerity, economic independence becomes not just an aspiration, but a living testament to justice, transparency, and communal trust. Economic independence demands more than capital. It requires visionaries schooled in both profit and piety. If halal finance and social enterprise are our tools, then education is the forge where tomorrow's leaders are shaped. How do we integrate halal principles into business schools, train ethical entrepreneurs, and create academic ecosystems that uphold tawhid in every case study? Curriculum integration ethics across courses. Rather than tacking an Islamic finance elective onto a conventional MBA, leading institutions embed halal ethics into core modules, accounting, marketing, strategy, so that every financial model, branding decision, or growth projection is evaluated through the lens of justice and mercy. Case studies in conscience. Textbooks include real-world analyses of sukuk defaults, social enterprise failures, and halal tourism missteps. Students debate the moral implications of leveraging riba-inflected markets versus pioneering ethical alternatives, learning that sound spreadsheets must align with sound souls. Specialized institutes and chairs center for halal innovation. Universities establish dedicated centers that research emerging sectors, biotech halal lab meet, Islamic blockchain applications, ethical AI, and publish peer-reviewed journals on Sharia-compliant innovation. These hubs connect academics, regulators, and industry, translating theory into practice. Endowed chairs in Islamic business ethics. Funded by wakaf, or socially responsible investors, these professorships champion curriculum development, supervise student projects, and liaise with certification bodies, ensuring that academic inquiry remains tethered to community needs. Entrepreneurship incubators, halal startup accelerators. Co-located in mosque complexes or community centers, these incubators offer seed funding, mentorship, and Sharia advisory. Entrepreneurs pitching halal fintech solutions or eco-friendly manufacturing receive guidance on contracts, murabaha, musharaka, governance, and impact measurement. Competitions and scholarships. Annual Halal Business Plan contests award grants to the most promising ventures, encouraging students to design models that balance scalability with social return and embedding an ethic of accountability from day one. Faculty training and scholarly collaboration, Shura. Workshops for professors. Business school faculty participate in intensive seminars led by jurists, ethicists, and successful social entrepreneurs, immersing them in halal frameworks so they can mentor students effectively. Global academic networks. Partnerships with institutions from Malaysia to Bahrain foster faculty exchanges and joint research on halal governance, creating a shared body of knowledge that transcends regional silos. Student-led ethics councils, peer review boards. Students form councils that vet case studies, audit campus vendors for halal compliance, and host conscience clinics, where peers consult on ethical dilemmas, building a culture of mutual accountability. Interdisciplinary dialogues. Law, theology, and business students collaborate on moot courts, debating real contracts or corporate governance issues, honing skills in both jurisprudence and commerce. Measuring outcomes. Impact dashboards. Alumni ventures are tracked on metrics: job creation, environmental footprint reduction, community reinvestment, to assess the long-term efficacy of halal education. Transparent reporting inspires continuous curriculum refinement, accreditation, and recognition. Independent bodies evaluate programs against halal education standards, awarding certifications that guide prospective students and employers toward truly ethical leadership schemes. Philosophical imperative. True leadership is not born from ambition alone, but from inner conviction aligned with divine justice. By training minds and hearts together, halal education ensures that the captains of industry steer economies toward mercy, not merely markets toward margins. As we conclude our deep dive into halal economics, it's time to cement our insights into a living agreement, a pact of mutual aid that every community, institution, and entrepreneur can adopt. Here are 7 actionable pillars to transform individual gains into collective strength, ensuring that mercy and justice guide every transaction. Community wealth funds establish Waqf-endowed pools. Each mosque or cooperative dedicates a percentage of profits into a communal fund. These endowments finance microloans, disaster relief, and social enterprises, sustaining economic resilience across generations. Coordinated boycott calendars, annual ethical market days, publish an ummah buy and boycott calendar marking dates for targeted boycotts, e.g., Fast Fashion Week, and community markets supporting local halal vendors. Synchronizing action amplifies market signals. Halal cooperative networks, federated enterprise alliances, link small businesses into regional cooperatives, shared purchasing power, joint branding, and bulk certification. This economies of scale model reduces costs and amplifies ethical supply chains. Social impact benchmarks, unified metrics, define common KPIs, jobs created for marginalized groups, percentage of revenue reinvested, carbon footprint reductions. Publicly shared dashboards so communities track progress and hold initiatives accountable. Ethical investment circles. Rotating angel committees. Groups of investors pool capital on a rotating basis to fund emerging halal startups. Each cycle selects new ventures through Shura-style deliberation, blending financial return with social mission. Education economy, integration, apprenticeship. Grants pair students from halal-focused educational programs with vetted businesses for paid internships. Grants cover living stipends, ensuring talent pipelines for ethical enterprises and embedding practical skills in curricula. Annual Ummah Solidarity Summit. Global convening. Host a yearly summit, physical or virtual, where community leaders, entrepreneurs, scholars, and youth present successes, challenges, and innovations under the Pact. Workshops, pitch sessions, and restorative circles reinforce bonds and review progress. Economic freedom is not a solitary achievement. It blooms when we tether our fortunes to our neighbor's well-being. This pact of mutual aid is our covenant to pool resources, to boycott injustice, to invest with mercy, and to learn as we earn. May every Waqf fund, every cooperative venture, and every summit renew our commitment to Tawhid's call for justice. Rise to this challenge, and together we will build an ummah whose prosperity is measured not by individual riches, but by collective dignity and shared abundance.